guys, my name is 𝔐𝔲𝔏 and today I just want to show you a couple of the art dolls that I've made. So I absolutely love creature art dolls, but they're usually way too expensive. I mean, they're reasonably priced for what they are, but they're like $300 to $500 each for like a tiny little creature doll. So because of that, I decided to make a couple of my own. And I do want to make more after these too, but first I want to show you the very first one I ever made. So this is 𝔐𝔲𝔰𝔦𝔠. She is heavily inspired by these creatures from this movie Dust. I'll show you a picture of it right here. There are these like cute little lemur things, and Theophany made the music for this film. I'll probably put the song that I found these creatures from playing in the background. So I originally did make her have these little blue dots, but I decided to change them to gold just because I like gold better. So she's not the greatest art doll. She's got some major flaws, but this is basically what she looks like. She's got these like bug-like eyes. I actually gave her pupils, but I decided that the pupils looked worse. I just thought that her eyes looked so like deep, like I can see her soul through her eyes, so I just gave her some jewelry just for fun. So she's got these like 2 ears on each side. I love the 4-ear look. But yeah, basically how I made her was I just sculpted her face with the ears and her hands and feet out of clay. Because I sculpted her entire head, her head was so heavy, so I had to make her a clay base as well. So she is a bit squishy, but not too squishy, because deep inside of her chest there is some clay. So I basically just cooked her, and then I painted her, and then I made her eyeballs. I made her eyeballs by basically just mixing a bunch of like orange and yellow colors, and then I squished the marble slab onto the paint, and then when I pulled it off, it made all these kind of like spider webby looking things. I don't know if you can see it very well on this camera, but there's like a ton of like little lines all over her eyeballs. And then I basically made her into a plush. I used just like this white fabric, I think, and I just stuffed her with cotton, and then I started adding the fur, and somewhere along the way I realized that I wanted to make her little dots gold, so I painted them gold, and then I just basically sewed on the rest of the fur, and some of it I glued on too, especially around the clay bits I glued on, and that's basically it. So yeah, this is 𝔐𝔲𝔰𝔦𝔠. She's not perfect, but you know, this is my very first creature doll that I've ever made. I think she's pretty good for my first one. And a lot of her imperfections are kind of covered by her fur, but you can definitely feel them, especially in her hands. Like that's pretty bad right there. But yeah, that's 𝔐𝔲𝔰𝔦𝔠. She's got this white tail underneath, and I think she's pretty cute. I'm not a huge fan of gray anymore, but I would love to make a shoulder pet. I really want to make a shoulder pet that I can just walk around at Renfest with. But I don't want one of those like dragon dribbits, because they're not that impressive. I want to make my own. Alright, this next doll is heavily inspired by 𝔐𝔤𝷆 doll. If you don't know what a 𝔐𝔤𝷆, I think that's how you pronounce it, creature doll is, just look it up. They're perfect and incredibly expensive and from Russia. So I decided to make my own little 𝔐𝔤𝷆 inspired doll. So this is Vixen. He is a little reindeer angel dragon thing. He also has 4 ears. They're not as noticeable, but you can see he's got little 4 ears. So as you can see, he's definitely not perfect either, but I think he's a lot better than my other doll. He actually cracked in the oven, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then his eyeballs were not that hazy, but after I guess a year, they just, I don't know, became hazy over time, and that's really annoying. So yeah, basically I made him the same way, but I don't think I did the whole head. I think I did like half a head. So I sculpted him this really cute face with these little antlers and the ears, and then I sculpted the hands, the feet, the wings. His hands and feet are significantly better than my last doll. And his fur's a lot better too. He's got a lot more coloring in it. But yeah, I made a terrible mistake and I sculpted his head around this like foam ball thing. I just wanted to take up space and not make the head so heavy, but it expanded in the oven because I'm an idiot. And so I opened the oven and he was completely cracked. He was just, I mean, I was heartbroken. I probably cried, but I was like, no, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna fix him because I just loved the sculpt that I made. So I basically just glued his face back together. He wasn't like completely cracked apart. He was still attached, but he just had these little cracks in his face. So I just kind of like put glue in there and I kind of like compressed his head so that it would kind of fit together again. And then I just painted over it. He's a lot more squishy because I didn't need a base of clay in there, so he's just full of cotton, of fluff. So he's a proper little stuffed animal, although his face and his feet aren't that cuddly, but I have slept with him before and he's very cuddly. And he's kind of a thick boy. So yeah, but besides the clay base, I just made him the same way. I made him into like a little plushie first with the fabric, and then I just sewed on the fur after, and then I glued on the fur in certain parts like right here, which I didn't do that good of a job, but whatever. And then for the wings, I literally just hot glued them on to the fur. So they're kind of like, you know, flapping this way, but I mean, they're stuck on there. They're not gonna come off. So I like how they can kind of flap. His wings. He's got this super cute deer tail. Yeah, Vixen is definitely my favorite of the two. And his eyes looked a lot better when I finished him. And I can see the color really nicely, but now it's all hazy. And I just used basically like it's not a resin, but it's like a resin. It was made for jewelry, but now it's hazy and there's some like bubbles in there too, which I think the bubbles are already there, but yeah, so his eyes don't look as good as they used to, unfortunately, but oh well. I know not to use this kind of whatever that is again, but yeah, that's basically it. Let's see if I can make them sit on my shoulders. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little art doll showcase. I do have plans on making another one in the future. It'll be inspired by a wood-faced doll that I've seen from Fuego something. I don't know, that'll be in the far future because I got a whole bunch of other stuff I gotta do, but I do have plans on making another one, so maybe one day I'll get to show you guys. But if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, as well as gaming and cosplay and other crafty DIYs. Basically, if you like anything fantasy, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next video.